Hey everyone, we are live. This is the Grey Man here again. Welcome to my channel, and I'm chatting to guys from Incursion today, a heavy metal band from, what does it say? Miami, Florida. Although you're not all from Miami, though, are you?
We were formed in Miami, essentially, and we're kind of from all over.
Right. It's like the main headquarters is Miami, is it? So
Yes.
how would I always like to say what's in the name is always the first question I ask. So what is in the name Incursion? Why Incursion?
We were originally called Vermilion.
Okay.
And I think a band came out with that name, and then we were sort of thinking of a cool name, and Incursion popped up, and it would put us like close to Iron Maiden, so we thought we would.
Right, that's a good enough reason as any.
Definitely. So,
tie it into Iron Maiden any way you can.
it sounded really cool.
Yeah. The Metal Archives, you said this calls you like a heavy metal band. How would you describe yourselves? What kind of bands if someone was coming in, they've not heard you before, and they were saying, how would you say you sounded? Who do you sound like? Who influenced your sound?
Well, I think our influences are like some of the obvious, like Kiss, Ted Nugent, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Scorpions, and then we were also really into like Anvil and Raven, Venom, so Exciter. There you are. So that's kind of where we sort of drew our primary inspirations, and then Venom, Merciful Fate sort of crept in, and that's kind of like the cornerstone of what we've become.
Yeah, so good old traditional heavy metal style, basically.
I mean, we were like everyone, like all the other bands of the time. We were kids in the '70s, so we were coming out of like hard rock, like as Max mentioned, Kiss and UFO and all that was happening. Then the hardcore stuff happened, and the new wave of British heavy metal with Raven and sort of the punk and metal kind of merged into this energy, and that's really, I think, what got us super excited about wanting to do this. I think Max was really into Rush and maybe more progressive stuff, Van der Graaf Generator, and so that kind of plays a part in it too.
There's quite a lot of influences. So I mean, like looking at so I don't really know. I've played you on my podcast a couple of times, so it's cool. So I want to sort of find out more. So you've been going like 1984, was it? You first got together?
82.
82.
Yeah.
Tell us how did that happen?
We didn't get rolling until about 84. We didn't get a demo and start gigging and.
Yeah, because that's you kind of like you started like way back in the early 80s, and then when I was around for about 4 years, and disappeared for fucking ages. But maybe we go back to the beginning first, and like who's the original members of the band? Is it two original members of the band still in it?
Three.
It's myself, Michael, and Buddy. We were. That was the band. We had a different singer,
right?
And it was just that we were a 4-piece.
Right.
And I played bass at the time, and we just couldn't, being, I think the age we were, with also just the way the scene was, we just couldn't find somebody that we thought would fit what we wanted, what we were trying to do.
A singer, as far as a singer.
As a singer, so we just sort of, hello, Sick Night, SLC Night.
I'll go with Sick Night. It was like Sick Night to me. So where did you meet up? Where did you meet? Where did you was you all at the same school or something? Or did you someone advertise for band members to find the other people? Actually,
Max and I both went to the same high school, and this would be in '82 when we first, I was into Iron Maiden's first record, and then Killers came out. I was in the hall at high school, and I see this off in the distance, this jean jacket with the back of it had Killers on it. painted on it. And I was like, I got to know that person. And we actually didn't meet at that point. And I think we were in line for Van Halen tickets. It's crazy enough. And there that jacket was again. And we hooked up and had a dozen Dunkin' Donuts and smoked a joint, and we've been together ever since. So
donuts and doobies. That's a good way of and
Max might know better how we hooked up with Buddy, because I don't remember that story. But
what sort of age were you at that time when you was at school?
16,
14,
14
right.
16, yeah.
Right, so you've known each other a fair while then. Now,
I think one of these days we're going to graduate. We'll get there one day.
You keep getting put back a year, yeah? Keep getting put back a year. So how did you come into the story then, buddy? You were the next one to join up. Let's just get a lowdown on what everyone does in the band as well, actually. I always forget to ask that. What do you do in the band, Max?
I'm rhythm guitar player.
Rhythm guitar. Michael?
Lead and rhythm guitar.
Cool. What about you, buddy? What do you do? Drums?
Yes,
Yeah. I heard the noise. Let's quickly go to Stone. What do you do in the band, Stone? Need to unmute your mic. Bass player. Okay, cool. Cool. Talk to you in a minute, mate. You driving. You drive safe, dude.
Yeah, we don't want to witness you get into an accident.
No, exactly. I don't need the ratings that badly. Yeah. All right, but buddy, so do you remember? All right.
Pull him into the
Do you remember?
house. You guys will have
Okay.
my undivided attention in 30 seconds.
Okay, no worries, mate. No worries. Buddy, do you remember how you came into joining the band?
I think I got involved somehow through Glenn Ramos at the time.
Yeah.
We originally had another guitar player in the beginning.
Right.
Max was on bass, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said those strings are too big, so he's going to play guitar.
Well, they hurting your fingers, so you went for smaller strings.
Yeah.
So, where did you meet then? Was you guys? You already playing your instruments at this time? Were you jamming with each other, and you were like, "Should we see if we can find anyone else?" Or
Yeah, that was it. We found Buddy through Glenn, another friend, and he was in the band for for a hot second, and we really just pretty quickly started writing our own stuff, and
I think from the time Max and I met, we were working on demo. We were writing and we just were writing and playing, and then everything.
yeah.
Well, we need to do something with this, and let's get the other members.
Were you both playing before you met each other? Was you both like already like working right on your stuff? Yeah, cool.
We were fumbling around.
Yeah. All right. How long was it later that Buddy joined you? A couple of years later, or same year, or
It was really quickly. Buddy's been Buddy's been the only drummer that we've played with in Incursion, so it was really the only real additions to the band. It's been Stone and Steve. So it was me, Michael, and Buddy, and we had a different singer, and then we sort of broke up. And then when we
1986,
got back together,
we broke up.
Yeah.
And then when we got back together, we found Steve, and then we found Stone, and then that's been, so this is the thing that feels really right.
Yeah.
Especially even though Stone was the last piece, like the way he and Buddy sort of have galvanized the bottom. It really makes it all feel really great.
Cool. Right, well, let's just carry on. I'm still getting the story from back in the 80s. I'm not going to the future for a while. Yeah, let's stick to the 80s. So, what was do you remember the first song that you guys wrote together? Is it still in your set?
Yeah, it's a song that'll be on the upcoming record called The
First full length.
Yeah, so you'll get to hear some of that stuff and some new surprises, and it's gonna be cool. Hopefully,
What was the song called?
The Rights.
The Rights. Okay, cool. And where did you practice? You had a practice room or someone's garage or?
My house, we had a sort of like a front living room, and my parents were nice enough to allow us to make a lot of noise in there. So
Yeah,
And I think
we were on one end of the house, and his parents were on the other end of the house.
yes, my
good.
mother still describes it as a god awful noise we made. You know, they were nice enough to allow it because we were very serious. We were practicing from the start. We were practicing 4 or 5 nights a week. I mean, then we started gigging, and we were still practicing 4 or 5 nights a week. It seems
cool. Was you in the Miami, Florida area at this point?
Yes.
And what was the scene like back in the day?
On the early scene, I mean, obviously there was a lot. There wasn't really a scene for metal so much. We kind of got lumped in with the hardcore scene that was happening in the early 80s. I mean, you also had like the new wave stuff that was happening, but it was really kind of the punk scene that we got lumped into. I mean, if you look into our history, our only release that we had back then was on a compilation called Florida, a cassette compilation by Rick Lennick, a guy that was really in the punk scene, and he compiled all the bands that were happening around that time in Miami, and it was predominantly hardcore punk.
Right. Yeah.
And then the metal scene was kind of tagged onto that, and then in the mid 80s, metal got a little more prominent, and got, had its own scene, but we were always, I think, more kind of into the heavier, we kind of fit better in the hardcore scene than the more pop metal stuff that started happening, more.
Yeah.
But we're kind of in between all that.
Yeah, it was very much, Van Halen, Motley Crue kind of vibe, with the exception, of 1 or 2 bands, but we were pretty much one of the heavier things happening at the time.
Yeah. Were you like at the forefront of the Florida metal scene? They were like the forerunners.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. We didn't break through, so
yeah.
And what was going on in Tampa was way more substantial.
Right, yeah.
Like even Nasty Savage we're South Florida, but they were north of us, so
right. Well, Tampa had Death and Nasty Savage.
I remember seeing Nasty Savage before the record deal, like right as they were about to get on the Metal Massacre, and that was just mind blowing. But
did he? What was his? Did you see him live? He had a reputation for breaking TV sets and stuff like that, didn't he? Did he do all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it was very primitive at the time. It didn't morph into what they became, but it was still pretty. He had that wrestling vibe, and it was very much a show.
Yeah,
and Ronnie was just amazing. I was like blown away. It was them and another band, Hollow's Eve, were the 2 bands that I saw a lot before they got their record deal, and we were like, I sort of was like, they sort of spurred me in a different way to think that we could do this, because they were just like, oh yeah, like I see these bands, they're not like something that only happens, on record, sort of.
Yeah. Florida is a bit. Imagined. Florida, especially Miami, is really a tough, especially back then. I mean, it still kind of is to this day to break out as a band, because there's a long, narrow state, and you're so far away from. I mean, most of the touring bands are hitting. If they come to Tampa and Jacksonville, they weren't coming that far south, because you can only play. There's Orlando and there's Miami, and that's it. So, bands would either start their tour or end their tour in Miami, and we didn't get a lot of bands in Miami. A lot of the hardcore.
We ain't going down that far.
What's that?
They said, we're not going to go down that far.
Isn't Florida America's penis? That's what they say, isn't it? That's where the old people go to retire, isn't it, in Florida?
Well, South Florida, they call it God's waiting room,
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking that you talk about like the wrestling connection. You guys, if you got a Stone, you got a Steve. If you have a guys changing name to Cold and Austin and Cold or whatever, you can be Stone Cold Steve Austin in the band name. You've got two members. You just need the 3 other guys need to change your names, and you'll be laughing. But
I'm gonna lose my job here. You know, I'm gonna get fired.
Yeah. no, don't replace Don't replace you. Just use nicknames.
Yeah.
What was the gig scene like? When did you get your first gig? Yeah, how was that? Do you remember it even?
It was in West Palm Beach at a Battle of the Bands kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty exciting. And,
we had our first. Yeah, we had our first gig. The band before us, Metal Ace, had probably the best guitar player in South Florida at the time, and I wish I could remember his name, but I remember being terrified just watching this guy go nuts. How are we going to go on after this? You know?
Did you win the Battle of the Bands?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
It was pretty wild.
I don't remember who won.
We
didn't win.
No. So because it's only around for a little while. I mean, how many kind of gigs did you do back then? You say it wasn't a very good scene for like bands that used to come visit that often. So did you get to do an awful lot of gigs back in the day?
Yeah, we actually did a fair amount of gigs because we were really hungry, so we would play 2 or 3 times a month.
Yeah.
And then we'd practice. So it felt like we were I think we probably ended up playing about 40 or 50 gigs. So
it's not bad.
It was we were like, there wasn't that much competition. So
yeah.
We got to play, and we got to play with a lot of cool band.
That's cool.
A lot of our peers at the time.
Yeah. Any sort of favorite gig memory from that period?
So many at Flynn. There was this place called Flynn's Ocean 71, which was where all the if Bad Brains came to town or Black Flag or Socialist, that they play at Flynn's, and it was a little tiny kind of rundown Art Deco bar in a Vagrant hotel. And we used to play. You would do they do Metal Mondays, and you play Monday and Thursday, and you'd have the same 2 bands, and we did a bunch of those. There's some great shows there.
Yeah. And they also did like an all ages shows on the weekends, and so we basically were like, we'll play as often as you want us to. So it helped us got really tight, and that's sort of how me, Michael, and Buddy could lock in. So, it's like getting the muscle memory back was pretty easy.
Right. So, you guys, were you even allowed to drink at that point? Were you even old enough to drink when you...
No, at Flynn's, there used to be like I said, it was a hotel. So there was a lobby, and there was this one police officer, Miami police officer, who he knew we were underage, and he would sit in the lobby and make us sit in the lobby. And he'd watch us go into the bar, and then he'd watch us get off the stage, and he'd make us get out because he knew we were when he wasn't there, we were drinking rum and cokes, and the bar was giving us drinks. And
that's good.
Miami is very Latin, so rum and coke was the thing.
Right? Yeah, that's like water, isn't it? It's like it's a Cuban water, isn't it? Rum and coke.
Yeah.
So what about any crazy? Like, obviously we have to go to Buddy if it goes all crazy because drummers are always the nutters in the band, aren't they? So what nutty tricks did you get up to, Buddy? Come on, are you a silent one who never got up to any nutty tricks?
Say again, you were breaking up.
Oh, something's breaking. There's some noise. So what kind of mayhem did you cause back in the day? Because I know the drummers are always the nutcases of the band. So I'm guessing you're the one. You're the one with the nutty stories. I'm guessing.
I stayed out of trouble.
Yeah, no drunken mayhem, no beef with any other bands, and I think
it was the guitar players that were drinking the bottles of Jack Daniels and stuff.
Yeah. Stone's got some stories to tell. By the looks of him, he's looking guilty. So let's go to it. So, what happened with the band, and how did it all come to an end?
We just realized that our singer wasn't really the right fit.
Yeah.
And then when we couldn't find a replacement, it sort of like we sort of was like, well, what are we doing? And so we sort of like, just sort of fizzled, and then the power of Facebook, we found each other again.
Yeah, I was going to come to that. So you just ended up, you just all went your own ways. None of you have any other bands in the interim?
Yeah, me and Michael have known each other. That we had stayed. We've been in constant contact over all of these years.
Yeah.
Sort of lost a little track of Buddy, but Michael and Buddy were in different bands, but I sort of was not really. So.
Did you do the marriage and career and children
later? But just I just did the job and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, growing up and being serious, it sucks.
Yeah, it still does.
being a sensible adult, whose fucking idea was that for a fucking good time? That's what I want to know. Certainly not my idea of a good time. So yeah,
I mean, Buddy and I have been playing since constantly, and actually, there's another band that Buddy's in that he's been in since I think '89 or for a long time. I've done various things, and so
all metal projects, or
we're working your way to Stone. So I mean, I guess we're working up through.
Yeah, where have we got ages yet?
We might be in the 2000s now, roughly.
Well, yeah. So, what the other bands you was in before? Were they metal as well? Or was you just doing different stuff?
Some of it for me. Some of it was heavier, but I mean, I play all kinds of. There's good music and there's bad music, and if it touches something in me, So I've been in a lot of. It could be hard rock stuff, more country, blues, jazz.
Right.
So.
Cool. Well, I didn't actually touch on the demo. How did the demo come about? Did you pay for that, or did you do it yourselves in the house? Or
yeah, we paid for it, and that was in '84 when we did the demo, the first demo, or the only demo, and we just needed to capture our sound. I mean, so we could get gigs and start moving forward. And it was really, I think, the first time in a real studio for all of us.
Yeah.
So,
what was the songs in that? These songs still ones that you're going to
actually one of the songs, two of the songs will be on the album, that our first full length that we're going to be recording soon.
Cool.
But yeah, the demo was none of the songs on the Hunter were on the demo. So it was just a four song demo.
Right. Yeah.
And two of the sons were released on Florida Explosion, and I think they've been
compilation.
You can find those if you dig. So.
Yeah, I'm looking on the Metal Archive. It looks like it didn't even have a cover. It's just like it's just like a tape.
It was in a
cover or nothing.
I don't have it handy, but yeah, it's just a clear case and
proper old school demo stuff. All right, so let's go up to modern day then. So we've had the early gigs. You carried on. So who come up with the idea to get the ball rolling again and resurrect Incursion?
Max and I were both going to be in South Florida for Thanksgiving, I think it was, and this is in 2018, just before that time, before Thanksgiving. So we started talking about, well, we're not getting any younger. Why don't we have all this material, and why don't we do something with it? And so we kind of got in touch with Buddy, and Buddy's like, yeah, I'm game. And so we kind of were all going to in South Florida at the same time, and Buddy still lives in South Florida.
Yeah.
And so we went to took our guitars with us, and went to Buddy's house, and all got in a room together, me, Max, and Buddy, and it was like 35 years. There were moments of 35 years just going away. Like that feeling was still there. The energy, it needed to be harnessed a little bit, but it was still, we realized, okay, we can do this.
Yeah. We came together quickly too when we started practicing it. It started all coming back very easily.
Oh yeah. I think I'm sorry.
Yeah, you had a problem. You had a technical problem there. I think you disappeared and came back again. You've been cloned and came back as a clone.
Yeah, it was like 35 years hadn't separated us, and
yeah, it's crazy.
We kind of just went with that momentum, and what's a good way for us to start? And we thought the Hunter, it's a themed EP, and it's 4 songs with an intro and an outro, and seemed like something we could tackle, and and we didn't have at the time we hadn't found Steve or Stone,
Nah.
and so we started working on it. And Max, you can tell how you knew Steve.
Yeah, I met Steve a few years earlier, and we had auditioned a couple of people, and some people were close, and then I just was listening to a different record that Steve had done, and I was like, I wonder if Steve would be interested in this, and so I called him and hung out, and I played him some of the stuff, and he's like, yeah, I think I can do this. This would be cool. And then we sort of started the process of like getting ready to record, and we had a different bass player who had some logistics issues, and so we were like, hey, do you know anybody who, we were asking the studio we were at,
Chris Short,
if we could, if he knew anybody. He goes, yeah, I know the perfect guy for this. And in comes Stone, and he plugged in, and we were like, yeah, this is badass. This is fucking great. Like, his tone is great. It's just so just so beefy, and and we were like, yeah, this is fucking great.
All right. What did you do before Stone? What's your journey in music?
I come from the other side of the states. I was born and raised in Niagara Falls, New York, around Buffalo. Right. And at the same time that Incursion was playing down in Miami, I was playing in a kind of original thrash metal band called Atrocity.
Okay.
And it was ATROSITY, not C. There's another one with a C. And we were doing shows with Cannibal Corpse. They were, from our hometown, and Malevolent Creation and Deicide, and we had a club back home called the Seneca Sky Room, and like everybody in the metal scene came through there. Everybody from Sacred Reich to Death to Obituary to, I remember, as a matter of fact, there was an issue with the guys from Pestilence. They wanted to come to the States and tour, and there were some visa issues that they weren't able to get taken care of, and the guys were all that they wanted to do was play the Seneca Sky Room. That was the only place that they wanted to play, was Buffalo. And back then, kind of opposite of what Max and Mike were saying about the scene in Miami, the scene in Western New York was really, really big. There's a band called STEM that's come out of Western New York. They're still in existence. They're really, really good, good buddies of mine. But when you've got Malevolent Creation and Deicide and Cannibal Corpse and Goo Goo Dolls back when they were still a punk band, was everybody's game had to step up. Because because when you're doing shows with you're the opening act and the two headliners are Malevolent and Cannibal Corpse, you got to be on your game, and then that particular band split up, and then I went to a New York hardcore band called Zero Tolerance. Okay. And we would play with Biohazard and Sick of It All and 24/7 Spies and Outface out of Cleveland. That was a great band, and stuff like that. So my path on this music and the style that we play, although me, Mike, Max, and Buddy had never met, obviously we were on opposite sides of the states, we followed the same road. What I mean? So it's kind of ironic and funny when you think about, it's been 30 years since I personally had played, this style of music to this extent. Yeah. And, the five of us meet up and we all have extremely similar backgrounds, even though, even though I was completely on the other side of the country,
It's funny. Some of the bands you just mentioned, I was in a band out of St. Louis, Sinister Dane, that we toured with some of the bands, 24/7 Spies and bands that you just mentioned. So,
but yeah, the old Buffalo scene was great. You know, when you back in the Chris Barnes days of Cannibal Corpse, nothing against Corpse Grinder. George is incredible, but
well, Monstrosity, Monstrosity from Florida.
What's up?
Monstrosity, Corpse Grinder's first band. They were from Florida, weren't they?
Yeah, Tampa.
Yeah.
Everybody, all of the bands, like, you know, Malevolent, Deicide, Cannibal Corpse, they all ended up moving down to Tampa to record at Morris Sound Studio.
Yeah.
And, you know, that whole era in the late 80s and early 90s, you know, it didn't matter where the band was from. At some point or another, you ended up being from Tampa. You know, you went there to record at Morris Sound, and you know, it was like I think he did I can't remember the producer's name off the top of my head right now, but he did you know, like the Obituary records, the Death records, and it just kind of became the standard for death metal recording. So everybody ended up moving down to Tampa.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of I should fucking remember the name. It was like Scott for some reason. I got Scott in the end, but I don't know if it's right.
No, you're on the right path. You're on the right path. I can't remember his name. I'm gonna have to look it up. Let me grab another phone and look it up because it's gonna drive me fucking bad.
I think Tampa still is. I mean, to this day, has more of a metal scene than certainly Miami. Miami's kind of transient and with what's happening in the original scene, and
Is Morris Sound still a studio? They're still doing stuff. I've not heard of like anything coming. Did it die a death? And
I'm looking right now. Hang on, let me grab my phone.
Not Randy Burns. Elric's saying might be Randy Burns.
Scott Burns.
Yep, Scott Burns. That was his name.
Scott.
Yeah. Looks like they're still in existence and they're still doing stuff. But I think nowadays, you know, with technology, with recording technology, you know, and I'm not taking anything away from Scott or any other producer or any other studio, but you know, bands don't have the money. Record labels aren't getting behind these types of, you know, our types of bands. No. So we don't have $20,000 recording budgets. Yeah. And now with technology, there's a lot of bands that'll buy a couple $1,000s worth of recording gear and just do it from fucking home.
Oh yeah. Well, most of the bands I talk to, like, they do it themselves if they can. Like you can fucking spend as much time over it as you like. You know, fucking jam it backwards and forwards. Keep working on it for ages before you finally get the thing you're happy with. You know.
In the 80s and 90s, you definitely needed a label to have the funds to go into a proper studio. It's a whole different climate nowadays. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, and then, you know, Max called me up and he and I spoke, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. And I was like, yeah, man, absolutely. I'd love to be a part of it. It sounds great. And the really cool kind of nostalgic thing for me was the way that I learned the material was, you know, MP3 copies of original demos that were, you know, recorded on a boombox in the rehearsal room in the 80s. And what you hear on The Hunter is just the songs didn't change hardly at all, if any. You know what I mean? What you hear on that record, on that EP, is what these guys created in the 80s. And, you know, we were just fortunate enough to be able to do it, you know, technologically speaking, on a better level.
Yeah. So when did you record that? The actual, was it the full lineup, the 5 year? The whole new lineup was there, all doing their part on that one, was it? When did you record it?
We did it at a place, Alpaca Ranch Studios in Orlando.
Okay.
And it was really, you know, it was great. It was, you know, Chris Short was the engineer of the record, and he pretty much just let us do our thing. It was great. It was really, really good. You know,
he has a great live room, a great big open live room.
Yeah, we did it all. I mean, we didn't do, you know, we didn't do any of the reamping or Kemper sound files. So this is us through amps and. But
you're hearing vintage Marshalls and
there's
two amps. Even the bass was a tube amp.
Right, so kind of old school Quite old school then.
Yep.
Yeah, just kind of what we were, like the stuff where we wanted to sound like it sounds the way we wanted to sound because that's how we sound.
Yeah, and these are all songs that are originally written way back in the 80s that you recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who
we
did
really,
the? Sorry, you
I was gonna say we really tried to stay true to where our heads were originally. I mean, obviously there's a 35-year gap between them, but as Max mentioned, we have we're firm with what we sound like, and we're just whatever we do, we're going to sound like that because we're not trying to be anything other than what we are. And we stay true to where our roots are.
Yeah, I was wondering if any of the songs are dated in them years. Like, any of them, because you had a song on the demo, "Hang 'Em High." That wasn't from the old Clint Eastwood movie, was it? "Hang 'Em High."
No, it's sort of more of a it's more of a Western.
Yeah,
great movie.
It's more about like the Salem witch trials.
Oh right, yeah. That's right. So how did you get? Because you seem to have got signed as well, haven't you? So you went and you did the Hunter, and what happened then? Did you start pointing it out towards labels and is it No Remorse?
Yeah, when we finished the record, we just started sending it out to people. I mean, we were actually starting to send it out when we just had rough mixes.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of people. It's a standard. Like typically you send it to everybody twice, and we had two offers that were just for like CD only kind of releases, and we were really kind of dead set on having it also available on vinyl. That was important to us.
Yeah.
And Bart Gabriel was very helpful at Skull Records, and the people over at Underground Power were very interested and very helpful. But Chris at No Remorse, at first he passed and said, this is an EP. This doesn't really make sense for us. Like, I think everybody was like, if you guys really wanted to be vinyl, it doesn't really make sense for us. But
they wanted a full
weeks. Yeah, a couple of weeks later, he reached out to us again, and it's like, do you guys plan on doing a full length? And we were like, yeah, if we can. At that point, we had no feedback, and we had no real understanding if people would even appreciate what we do. So we were like, we think so. I mean, we're probably going to want to do a record. And he says, well, if you give us the rights to the record, we'll put the EP out on vinyl. And so we worked out a deal, and he's given us a little, he was the first, they were the first boost of confidence that we had.
Yeah.
Like that we had something that we think would resonate with people. There's a million options right now. And to go from like some of these bands that are around, in the scene have been around for like 10 years. So we were sort of fortunate to have somebody like No Remorse involved, like, because to me, they're one of the two bigger labels that, doing this that are below the, the Metal Blaze, Nuclear Blast of the world. And so to be, to be considered by any of these guys was truly great. We were truly fortunate that we cut through a lot of stuff to where we didn't have to do it all on our own. And but it also gave us the impetus to really sort of go, well, what really would happen if we try and put some effort into this thing? And, we through that, and we started, that started moving the needle. And right
New
around
wave of
that,
traditional heavy metal full albums.
right around that time, Anderson, new wave of traditional heavy metal, he posted the
huge.
record, and then that was really, so it was that sort of confluence of situations that happened, that we were like, oh, okay, we've got some legs under us, and we're gonna have some people that are going to champion us. And then we started.
So the stars were aligned, and the stars were aligned, and everything went right.
And people started finding the record, reviewing it, and reaching out to us, and it just was, it's like, it's exciting, and it's also sort of like gratifying at the same time.
Good confidence boost as well, I should think.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
we made a record that we're proud of, and people to find people more than like our family and friends. It's like your buddies are inherently going to be like, oh yeah, it's pretty cool, yeah, whatever. But to have like people really from across the globe really find it and gravitate to it. And we just it never dawned on us that like things like Spotify would be such a huge boost to us.
All right, getting good streams on there, yeah.
Yeah, we have like 100,000 streams on Spotify.
That's not bad. That's pretty good numbers. Everything's changed since the 80s, and you'd like knock off a few tapes and like sell them at gigs.
Yeah, and 100,000 streams may be like insignificant when compared to other things, but for like 5 guys to come out of nowhere in like less than a year to do, like, there's some bands that have been around that don't have that, and like
it's been
30,000 views.
It's been especially challenging with COVID.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I was gonna talk about that as well at some point. But that's good. 100,000 bloody 100,000 streams is good for any band. You ask me. That's very impressive. And to have like almost your first release in like 30 odd years to be on vinyl. Vinyl's not many bands do vinyl nowadays because of the cost of it.
Yeah, we're really grateful to the guys at No Remorse. They've been super, super supportive, and they've just it's not what you would expect when you're like a band working with a small label, and like they're pretty, they're fairly accessible. They're super reasonable about what they can and can't do, and I think a lot of it, we're kind of also realistic of what's happening. So to be in a situation where we have that kind of support, and we have people really paying attention to us in a few different places, it's really been.
We're also in good company with them,
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret. It's no secret that their label has a pretty stout roster, and for us to hold our own in that it's they're Riot City, Eternal Champion, Hitman. They're no slouches. They're we've got we're hoping that the steel sharpens steel, and we hold up our end of the bargain when our next record comes out, because we want people to start paying attention to us. It's because we've done this without no one seeing us live, and so we haven't had that luxury of people going, oh yeah, I saw them at Keep It True, and they were awesome. you know.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll come. I was saying I've muted Buddy's mic because there's a lot of noise. I think it's coming from Buddy's mic. I muted you a second ago. Yeah, I think it's Buddy's making kind of little weird noises like coming from it. I don't know, maybe I can hear it better because I've got headphones on. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it or not. Yeah, you can hear it.
Yeah, that noise.
Telling me to shut up.
No, not at all. Maybe if you got headphones, maybe that will stop it because sometimes there's like a loop kind of thing that makes weird noises.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be that.
I'll see if I got a set of headphones.
Yeah, I don't know if I can.
He's a drummer, so he's fidgeting.
Yeah,
he's
he probably is.
Shit.
It's probably grinding his teeth because he's had to sit still for more than 5 minutes. He's like, I need to go and hit something. I just leave him on mute for a little while until he gets his headphones. Yeah.
If you saw his house, he has a house, and maybe he's gotten more furniture now, but he has this beautiful, nice house, and you have a leather couch and a TV, and then you go in each bedroom. There's another drum kit. It's like the black drum kit. He's got this room's got the Van Halen with the Cannon bass drum.
I hope his house is like separate from other houses. He's not terraced, is he? Is he like? Has he got his own grounds around?
He's got a good bit of land, I think.
Oh, that's not so bad then. Yeah, he can make as much noise as he likes. That's what I was going to talk about it because like 2020, you managed to bring out a new EP when everyone else is like locked down and whatever. I know Florida rules are more relaxed there. Well, how did that work out? Was it no problems of getting it done during the pandemic?
Well, we had most of it before. We had most of it done. Before the pandemic, and then when we started picking up momentum, and then No Remorse came on board, the pandemic hit, and we weren't obviously able to do gigs and build ourselves that way, and so it's been a challenge, for sure. I mean, it's been a challenge for established bands.
We were originally slated to come out last year, but because of COVID, it got pushed to January of this year. And we were thinking, it's like, we'll be able to play some gigs and do give people a reason to sort of like pick up the record. But it'll all be in due time. We're gonna I think there's a handful of, like you were saying, like some live streams that we're gonna do.
Cool.
And so people are gonna see us, and hopefully that we'll people start spreading the word, and they'll be like, there's this cool band that
with shows like your own, it kind of goes back to the thing about recording. It used to be where in order for you to have a radio show and have the music that you wanted heard, you had to get in with corporate radio. That was the only way. Same thing again with recording. Back in the 80s, if you wanted to record, you had to bring your beer cans back and get the 5-cent deposit and collect up your money until you had enough to do it. So with there being, the influx of internet-based radio shows that are doing this type of music, back in the day, it used to be cassette exchange. And you would mail something out to somebody across the world, and they would mail something back to you, and you would hear new music that way. Nowadays, and thanks to guys like you, man. So thank you very much for doing what you do. Thanks to guys like you, bands like us are able to get exposure in all 4 corners of the world in ways that we would never have the opportunity to do before. So you guys do so much more for this style of music. And I would say the independent radio community is probably single-handedly responsible for the new wave of traditional heavy metal. You guys are the ones really pushing it and letting people know that there are bands like us out there doing this. And, maybe introducing this style to some kids that have never heard it before, the kids that weren't like us, that didn't grow up listening to Maiden and bands like that. Or, the cats that are, up there at our age that still listen to it every single day. And you're like, fuck, man, there's got to be somebody new out there. They can go on to internet radio stations anywhere they are and find bands like us and a lot of other bands that are out there doing exactly that. So you guys are just as important to this wave of what we do as the band's doing it.
Yeah.
And I think the
Indeed.
pandemic, in a way, kind of has pushed a lot of the underground stuff to the forefront because we're all stuck at home with technology and on our computers and stream. Like, you know, you've probably been doing this a while, but I'm saying that the pandemic has sort of caused more of a need for that, you know, because it's the only way we can see each other and get the word out and do, be it streams or, you know, blogs or whatever's happening. Technology has sort of risen. Like, what's the new model going to be? And I think that's what everyone's trying to figure out, you know, trying to navigate.
8 tracks. We're all going to go back to 8 tracks.
8-track, yeah. There you go.
Oh God. Wax cylinders. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
Wax cylinders. You can't. The sound of the wax cylinder is fast.
We're going back to acetate, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
man.
it really is true. It is true that like we are a movement that is rising all boats. This is a tide that's rising all boats. We're all in this together, and I think once we really galvanize, this could be like a real second wave, and you know, like there's nothing against anything else that's going on out there.
Seems to be like all the metal genres seem to be doing really well now. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, wave British heavy metal. A lot of bands come back.
It's sort of interesting because I don't think we didn't consider, well, there's this whole new wave of traditional heavy metal thing happening. Maybe now would be a good time. It just happened that we, you know, me, Max, and Buddy got together in late 2018. We did met Stone and Steve and recorded the EP in 2019. It's almost like we were meant to come out now. Like the timing, you know, there's a whole underground scene happening with traditional heavy metal, and we fit right into that with an authentic, true voice in a way. You know, we're not trying to be anything other than what we are, and we're that. And that wasn't really even considered in this whole thing. And it just kind, but the timing is really, it's kind of like we needed to wait till now to come out in a way. I mean, because the climate in the landscape, it's there there's the scene's happening. There's a lot of interest in traditional heavy metal and classic heavy metal, and you know, it's like
there's some great bands.
There's some great bands,
really
going on.
Really bands. Yeah.
Like Greece is massive for the traditional heavy metal, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a few in England as well. Seven Sisters, I think. Dungeon.
Rather interesting. Our labels in Greece, and Philip Laver, who did the artwork on the EP, he's in Greece as well. So.
Right, yeah. Because I always see they've got a massive scene over there. Like, you know, there was always bands like Cloven Hoof, an old new wave British heavy metal band, went over there, played a few times in Greece. I think they've been over to America as well a while back. Cloven Hoof, obviously before all this crap came along. Have you got any? I mean, obviously you've not gigged yet, have you? You're not gigged as a new unit, have you? Nothing at all.
Not yet.
No, nothing in the works, or you're waiting to see how the fucking.
We're going to tear the roof off of Spot when we get to do it. I'm sure, you know.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying
there are people who are reaching out, but it's so tentative.
Yeah.
It's like, I think there's a hesitancy of being the first ones out. You know, like
I think like you said, Gray, like you said before we went live, because we were talking about London and the scene, what's happening here with COVID, and at first they were pushing things back to the fall of this year, and now it's looking into the beginning of next year. But no one really knows, you know, because what there's all these other waves happening, you know. So you know, as Max said, everyone's trying to dip their toes in the water and figure out what the best way to move forward is.
So a lot of bands I'm talking to say that when their gigs actually starting again, they're thinking they've got a lot of people going to be coming out, and the crowds are going to be going crazy because everyone's been so long cooped up indoors, and people so they reckon the first few gigs are going to be fucking mad packed. Like,
every single band is going to be on fire everywhere in the world, right? You know.
And people are going to be going home with some great memories.
Yeah, hopefully. We can only hope. Looking at your, let's go to talk about the songs a bit more. Like looking at the album cover, you got it kind of reminds me of the is it Death Dealer, It's a famous art by Frank Frazetta. I think it was done on the Molly Hatchet had it as an album cover. It kind of looks reminiscent of that kind of thing to me. The guy on the horse. Is that the hunter? Is he like your mascot, or is he just a one-off for this cover?
It may be a one-off. We're trying to figure out who's going to do the artwork for the next record, and we're talking to Philip and a few other people. We would love to have a relationship with the art that sort of connects through all the records, but right now it's too. I mean, it worked well. I mean, we're huge Iron Maiden fans. We're so huge Derek Riggs fans, huge fan of people like Ken Kelly, who did the Kiss records and Manowar records and stuff. So we and Philip did the 4 or 5 creator records. So we would love to have that kind of relationship where the art and the artist sort of comes along the ride with us, but there's people have schedules, and there's
too early to tell at the moment where that's going to go.
Yeah, we're hoping that there's going to be a continuity at the very least between between all the records, because this won't be. We're not going to be a one and done kind of band.
No, hopefully not.
I mean, when Max originally reached out and talked to Philip, and we started talking about the EP and the Hunter, he sent us the sketch, and we're like, that's the guy, that's the Hunter. So it would be great to carry that over in some way, some fashion. But
yeah, cool.
I think every band wants their own Eddie. You know what I mean? Like Iron Maiden, they created the blueprint for that, and nothing against them, but they're all ugly fucks, so it makes sense. You know what I mean? Let's put this dude on there. But
we didn't want to say that, but we're in the same camp. We need a.
That's all right. We'll go ugly for ugly, because I ain't nothing to look at either. So we
need a fantasy character to take us through.
But when
guys like us,
when they did that, and that's kind of always been a question of mine, was Eddie created to be the focal point of the band, or did it just happen? What I mean? And I think any band you'd be blessed to have a character from an album cover become the thing that you see 15-year-old kids walking down the street with that on their t-shirts, and 50-year-old guys wearing it on the back of your jean jacket. That would be amazing.
It would be great. It would be great.
It's kind of like iconic, isn't he, old Eddie? Because I think a lot of people really bought the albums because of the artwork, because of him on the cover. I remember I first saw Number of the Beast. My brother bought it for some reason, and I was going through our record fucking cabinet, like Number of the Beast, like, what the fuck is this? He's like, this is fucking amazing. I was like, I've got to play this. I've got to find out what this is all about. And that was it. It was all fucking downhill from there. You know what I mean?
1980. When did the first Maiden album come out? I was in Vancouver traveling, 81. And I was
81.
81. I was a kid. And I was in a record store, and I saw that. I was like, "This is fucking got to be good," And and it changed everything. I think I bought the same. That usually used to work out for me. With the cover. If the cover was cool, the album would be cool, and I bought a few Grateful Dead records. And I'm a fan of the Grateful Dead. Some stuff.
Fair enough.
It didn't pan out when I bought that Grateful Dead.
Right. Yeah.
This is not.
It's certainly how the Iron Maiden's music kicked out as well. If it had been shit music, you still would have, But that the artwork has got to have been a big factor in a lot of their success.
Well, and I think Eddie was brilliant for obviously for marketing and branding and merchandising, and there's so much you can. I mean, whether I have to think that they had the insight with that early on, that but who knows,
started at Eddie the Head and was intended to be a mascot from the start.
Yeah, there you go.
Ulrich, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that.
I think it was a stage prop, wasn't it? Eddie the Head was a stage prop. I don't know if that came before the album art or not. I'm not too sure on the timeline of that.
Yeah, there's because on the first like on the early ones they have pictures before the deal where he's in the logo on the the backdrops or whatever they did. So he was always a big problem.
I've actually just picked up a couple of Eddie Iron Maiden comic books. Eddie's got his own comic book. He's it's called it's like Iron Maiden. I can't remember those. Like all the covers. I've only got 3 of them so far. I only 2 more. They're all like one of them is fighting like it looks like a scene out of Power Slave. He's fighting some giant Egyptian pharaoh. I can't remember the other ones were, but they're all kind of like tied into album covers almost. And Eddie's like getting involved in. I think one of them is Aces High, maybe a homage to that or something. But that's the kind of character you would be cool. Who does the lyrics for the band? Is it a joint effort or? That's all your baby, is it?
Yeah, I do most of them, and I.
What influences you?
I had a writing partner, Steve Bailey, who we were both kids, just writing, But I was really into Rush, and really into Maiden, and and like just trying to think of cool things and cool ideas, and
playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons.
Awesome.
Yeah. A lot of Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. So it was very much, just trying to emulate the years of listening to all those things and trying to add something to the world of that genre. That's kind of what we're trying to do in general. To make something that doesn't disrespect the art form.
Right. Do you want to give us a run through of some of the songs then? What kind of subjects are you? I mean, is there like a guiding theme for it, or or is it all just separate songs?
Yeah, I think once we for the Hunter, it is a concept record. It was definitely our trying to be like 2112 and At War with Satan, and
it's a story from beginning to end.
And,
right.
Satan's Fall, and where this long song, like this long body of work that sort of weaves into it. So we did intentionally write it as a the person's struggle from conflict to salvation, and so we were really, so basically the Hunter tells that story, and it was it's just very, it was like we were just trying to be ambitious, and not like like we were growing up around Hoffa teacher and stuff, and we just wanted to be a little bit more, or just give the feeling that the lyrics meant something.
All right. Got a weird question from my mate. He likes to ask weird questions. Why have you got a blue balloon stuck to one of your doors?
I'm trying to find where the blue balloon is.
He's probably imagining. He's probably smoked too much. I mean, he's seeing things. I don't know.
I mean, that one I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't recall seeing.
We're doing a gender reveal party.
Are we finally going to figure out what you are, Max?
You let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah. The gender reveal for the polar bear he's got on his face.
Yeah.
It's a boy.
I should get a tattoo of eyes underneath my, so I can go like this.
That would hurt, but it would be an interesting look.
Yeah, so we were just trying to be ambitious and be in line and give it some heft when we were writing, and just try and write about something, and even as limited as our experience was, we were trying to write, like, I think we've always tried to write just not for like the moment. I think sometimes like some of there's some songs that feel sort of dated, and you can have, songs like, Running Free for 40, 50 years, and it still resonates because it's still something that people can, and same with, like, I still love Cold Gin, by Kiss, and I like that, and I don't have the same connection to I Was Made for Loving You, and
Motley Crue songs
Look It Up
exactly
just didn't work for us,
Yeah, the some of those songs just didn't age well, but like Max said, you listen to a metal hour on a corporate radio show, and they're still playing Running Free, and they're playing Run to the Hills, and they're playing Bark at the Moon, and and stuff like that. These are just songs that are in our genre and what we do. They're timeless.
Everyone can relate to Crazy Train.
Yeah, everybody.
We've got a blue balloon gate situation here. We'll ignore him. He's a good mate. But
I don't think Stone wants to tell us. He's
yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go and do a. Let's see. I'm gonna do a walkthrough. I'm sitting
see if we can
locate
find the blue balloon
I
again.
think you went to get a smoke or something. And
I did. I went to go get my cigarettes, and somebody said they saw a blue balloon.
Yeah.
So we got to find a blue balloon. Let's see.
Someone's put a blue balloon in your house when you.
Oh wait! I think I have found the culprit. Hold on.
What is it? Is it?
Oh, there you go.
That it's like a decoration.
Yeah, my boys, both of my boys, and my wife's birthdays are all in March, and so we just got through them, and that was a birthday decoration for the family. So happy belated birthday to my wife and my two boys. But there you go. That's where the blue balloon comes from.
Mystery solved.
Mystery solved.
Yeah. Next thing look for ghosts.
We've got a Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Speaking of the family, guys, I do need to get out of here. I have some family business I need to attend to. Pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, cool talking to you. Yeah.
As I said, brother, thank you so much for what you do, man. You really, again, there without guys like you doing what you do, we can still be doing this in our living rooms and go and record the music, and it's never going to get heard by anybody. So thank you very much, man. You fucking rule. Man.
No, cheers for coming on. Maybe you come down another time. Hope to see you another time.
My pleasure. I'll be good.
Be cool.
See you guys soon.
See you later. What about, so your singer Steve, is it your singer?
Yes, he is, yeah.
And it's talking about your lyrics. Like, I always like to sort of say, what have you got a favourite lyric that you've written, or a lyric that whenever he sings it, you think, I'm glad I wrote that line or that chorus? Anything that gives you like a frisson of like, fuck me, I was writing out my socks when I made that one up. Have you got any tracks like that?
There's some parts of Kingdom of Dead that I think are pretty cool. Like just the fact that you could have all those words. It's a very wordy song,
right?
And I really like the visual of clashing through the dead of night like a tiger from a cage.
Yeah.
So it's like, you think it's cool, so you think that people are gonna get the visuals and see the imagery when you're trying to convey something. So it's hard because there's also a lot of material. Like there's a lot of words that have been written now.
Yeah. What about you, Michael? You got a line you're particularly fond of from one of the songs?
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm being a guitar player. I'm kind of into the riffs and the the lyrics are sort of like it's usually for me it's the drums and then it's the guitar.
Right.
The riffs. So I have to be honest. I have to be honest.
That's cool. It's good to get it from other perspective because I was singing with my band, so I wrote all the lyrics, and so I know that there's maybe bits that I enjoy. It just always strikes me. So I've always been more interested in the lyrics.
And I think, I think what, as Max was describing, I mean, lyrics that kind of don't have a place in time, but they're more,
be eternal, like.
Well, they're just human. They're things that we all think or things that we all feel or go through, and it can be put into other contexts, but we can all kind of relate to them. And that's what connects to me with lyrics, I think. And
Yeah.
on the album that we're going to be coming out with is there's a lot of different themes, and it's not a theme concept. So we have a
Different
lot of
stuff.
varied.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. I was going to ask about that. I mean, have you been, because it was quite a while ago that you recorded this one now, have you been able to write a lot of songs? Have you got a lot of stuff ready for the future?
Yes. Yeah, we do. We've got most of it already sorted out. We're gonna get together. We're gonna start, knock on wood. We're going to get all this stuff started in May.
Right.
And we're going to do it the same way. We're going to go down to Florida and record
you booked a studio?
Yeah.
Same studios. Yeah, we're going to do it with Chris and Jorg Oken mixed the record, and he's going to do, we're going to
mix it again.
Have him be involved again, and just really try and catch lightning in a bottle again.
Cool. Is there a schedule will it be released on No Remorse again?
You
said it would, yeah.
Right now we're looking at starting rehearsals in a few weeks, and then hopefully by the end of May, beginning of June, hopefully recording the album.
Yeah. I mean, there's no like schedule with No Remorse for when they'd like to release it. They're just gonna wait till you've got it ready, then you'll talk about it then.
Yeah, I think things with the pandemic everything's sort of up in the air. So we're excited to just to get it done. We've been waiting to get it done, and kind of we intended on probably going and getting it done sooner, but it kind of we can't really travel, we can't really get together in the same room. I think that's changing with us being vaccinated and whatever the world, people getting out of this whole thing. So it seems like we can get this done now. So we probably would have done it 6 months ago had we not had a pandemic, right?
Yeah. I mean, our plan, we were really thinking about recording it in October of last year.
Yeah.
And then but that's without knowing that we would be where we're at.
Yeah, it's kind of put fucking knockers on everyone's work, didn't it? Again, everyone's plans are, I say the plans of mice and men.
Shut down in March of last year, could have been. I had no idea, and I'm sure none of us did, that we would be sitting here over a year later.
Exactly,
still dealing with it, right? So
It's like a science. Every time I go out, people in the mask, I think fucking still like say I have a science fiction fucking film from I watched as a kid or something. It's just kind of so weird. It's just but yeah, you just have to deal with it. And is this kind of like your lyrics kind of like more fantasy based? I'm guessing from The Hunter and that. Is there anything like any real life situations, any real world stuff get into your lyrics, or you like no screw that shit? I want to keep it nice fantasy without getting too heavy.
Well, I think as we are evolving, it's going to obviously turn into that. But right now, it is very much sort of like fantasy and situational kind of thing.
Yeah, but escapism though is quite good though. Sometimes you don't want to hear another band sing a song about a fucking pandemic or about politics.
Well,
some people it suits certain bands, but
and also right now it's like I think it's hard to lose people, and to tap into those things sometimes make it harder to persevere. So we're still living. I think when I have a little bit more perspective on it, like when it's a little bit further away, I might have like some better insight to how I feel and what I want to, if I choose to write about it. But it's just, I mean, it's a real thing that's happening. That's like tough for some. I mean, for some people, and for some people, it's, not to get too heavy, but for some people, it's real. This is a really hard time, even with the notion that we're going to be around people again.
Yeah, yes. I was chatting to a band last Sunday, like they were like 19, 20, and I'm like, And then it's worse for them because they've not been there and fucking done it. We've been there, done it, drunk the beer, got the t-shirt, kind of almost like I'm quite happy. Once a week's going out and having a drink is enough for me. I don't want to be going out every night. But these guys have not been allowed to go out, not been allowed to do gigs, and then they're climbing the walls like it's. So I'm kind of glad it happened when I was 51 and not 21. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I mean it's hard for everybody. And it's to have a bunch of pandemic songs, people be like, dude, I'm fucking dealing with this shit. So we'll see. It's like right now we're just really focused on making sure the record is tight and concise and has the right amount of like different flavors of who we are, like just.
It's going to be a step up from the EP for sure. It's going to be faster and harder and,
cool.
It's most certainly going to be, it's going to be just a broader scope of what we did on the EP.
Have you got a name already for it?
Yeah, it's tentatively titled Blinding Force.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and so it's gonna be a fun record.
Yeah, I was thinking about like the pandemic and that. Like we got no control over it. All you've got control over is how good your record's going to be, how good the songs are, the production. So you just got to concentrate on doing that, and then hopefully down the line you can get fucking out gigging on it. Yeah. At the moment, just concentrate on what you can do and not what's out of our control.
Right.
I will say the tentative title "Blinding Force" is probably going to be the first track, and it's heavier than we're going to start out heavy out of the gate, heavier than probably on the EP.
Cool.
So, but it's definitely going to be a progression of what you've already heard, but it's going to push the envelope for sure.
Cool. All right, guys, I'm getting a bit knackered now. It's like gone 11. So I think we've gone over an hour. It's been cool chatting with you and getting finding out about your band and your history and the present, and hopefully the future. I mean, you got anything you want to talk about before we go? Any more things you want to fill us in on?
We're just looking forward to getting out there, and I mean, it's. Just to do a live show will be a huge thing for us,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and thank you guys for paying attention and
no worries,
and
no worries,
being supportive.
Yeah,
you can find us on Facebook at the band Incursion.
I was just going to say the link down below takes you to my blog post, and all the links are in there. So all the links that I've got for your band are all in the blog post down below. So go there,
awesome.
follow Incursion on all their pages. Buy their merch and so forth. Hopefully on there, and make sure you follow their page as well. Are you planning on doing anything like? You might do an online gig at some point, or
we're talking to a few people about doing that. So hopefully we'll have something to announce very soon. So
cool.
We're hoping that comes to fruition.
I would say I do Friday night hangouts, heavy metal hangouts on a Friday night on my channel. If you've got anything you want to talk about anytime, just message me. You can come on a Friday night hangout. We can hang out, have a beer. You can tell us about what's coming up and try and spread the word on it, kind of thing. Even if you haven't got anything you want to share, just come on and hang out and talk metal with us. You'll be very welcome.
Thanks so much, man. Thank you.
No worries. All right, then. See you later, everyone. And don't forget, everyone who's watching this, check out my podcast. My new podcast will be out tomorrow, of course. And if you like the podcast, you want to help me, I've got Patreon. You can get an extra exclusive show on my Patreon if you sign up for it. That's it. That's my advertising. See you later.